Welcome to Parenthood Unscripted, where honest conversations about raising kids take center stage. I'm your host, Samantha Taylor, speech language pathologist, business owner, and mom of two. Each episode, I sit down with professionals and real parents to talk about the parts of parenting we don't always say out loud, the challenges, the growth, the joy, and everything in between. Whether you're looking for connection, perspective, or simply to feel less alone, you're in the right place. Let's get into it. Before we jump in, I want to share something for any parent who has ever left an IEP meeting feeling overwhelmed, unheard, or unsure of what to do next. The Advocacy Accelerator is officially open for enrollment. This is a step-by-step support experience designed to help parents feel confident without second-guessing themselves or doing it alone. Inside, you'll also be part of a community of parents who get it, because advocacy shouldn't feel isolating and you don't have to figure it all out in real time. If you want to learn more or join us, you can head to the link in the show notes. Now let's get to the episode. I am so grateful to be able to welcome Kimberly LaForte here today. She is a voice guide, a visibility coach, a motivational speaker, and the founder of Vocal Honey. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm honored to be here.
Yeah. So I recently attended an event that you hosted, I think a couple of months ago, and that's when I really got introduced to you and really fell in love with your mission. And I think it's so valuable for people in general, but especially moms who may have lost their voice along the way, between advocating, doing all of the things, fulfilling all of the roles. So I think this will be a conversation that's going to hit really near and dear for many women.
I loved having you in the room. It was February for that Galentine's event, right? The Vocal Honey Tour. And that was our first time meeting. And it was exciting because, we were talking about all of the different ways that women back away from power. And the voice is such like a great mirror for figuring out, where am I with my confidence, with my power, with my ability to express myself. So yes, it's not just for women who want to get on stage. It's for all women, all walks of life. And I feel like, yes, moms especially are going to love this.
Yeah. And kind of diving right in, I would love for you to share a little bit more about what is exactly it is you do, but also how you got into this.
Yeah. So I call myself a voice guide and visibility coach. And Vocal Honey is the brand that I founded. So I teach women how to become visible, and visible in whatever way they need to be visible, whether that's at work or, speaking up more at the dining room table, or maybe it's asking for a raise at work or starting their business, launching content, wherever it is, wherever their soul's like, this is where I need to be heard more. It turns out that's not easy to do. And I actually was someone who was medicated before on beta blockers for fear of public speaking. And it hit me one day as I was popping a beta blocker, going to have coffee with a friend. And I was like, wait a minute, when did going to just be social suddenly become such high stakes? And I knew at that moment that I had really disconnected from my body completely, and everything started to feel like performative. And I think that happens when we just lose sense of ourselves. We go through a big wave of life change. I had just come off of divorce. I was getting my graduate degree. Like, life just felt chaotic. And that pressure made me want to be perfect and be perceived and control the way I was perceived. But in doing so, I lost connection with who I was, and just the sense of being present in a conversation was completely gone. So once I figured out how to get off the pills, it's like everything exploded. All of a sudden, people wanted me to be on stage. All of a sudden, I was able to guide people and co-host other women's empowerment events. And I was seeing how frightened people were to get on stage. And I just grabbed them and I was like, let's get up here before the event starts. And they were like, we can do this. I was like, yeah, we can do whatever we want. And that was like exposure based therapy, right? Like getting them up there and slowly seeing people's shoulders relax. They could hear their voice drop in pitch. And I thought, I think I just like transformed their lives, because if you can speak, if you can get on a mic, or you can just learn to express yourself, your whole world changes. And that's what happened for me. It's like everything became so much simpler in my own life and my business once I figured out how to stay with myself while I was trying to explain myself, or, stop negotiating with my own power, thinking, does this person like me? Do they not like me? Like, all that noise stopped. And I was able to finally find who I am and what I want to say. So now, Vocal Honey is the way I bring that forward. It's no longer just about getting on stage, it's so much more spiritual. So, to answer your question quickly about the second part about how did this all come about, I was coming off of empowerment coaching and I was moving into the world of public speaking. I thought for sure it was just get people on stage, help them with their keynote talks. But then at the same time, I was studying Mary Magdalene and getting deeper into my spirituality practice. And one day I was deep in meditation and I just saw this flowing honey and I heard the words vocal honey. So when I popped out of that meditation, I started to study the etymology, like in the history of honey. And I was like, oh my God, it's medicinal. And it was used as a currency. And it was a sign of royalty and the gods. And, in 5,000 years in a cave in Egypt, it doesn't deteriorate. Like, that's so much a synonym and a symbol for our voice. Once we figure out how to unlock the sweetness, the stickiness, the medicine of our voice, it lasts forever. And so that's how we got here.
I love that so much. And I love kind of how you got to it too, because as I always call myself a recovering people pleaser, anytime that I had to be in front of someone where I'm questioning, like, ooh, do they like me? I'm watching all those subtle movements of their face, watching their body language. I'm removing myself from myself in those moments.
Yes.
And I'm feeling disconnected. And so I love what you do because it's really helping ground the women in their power, in their bodies, in their voice, because their message deserves to be heard too.
Absolutely. And it's very true. It's subtle, right? It's like all of a sudden it's watching that facial expression and then we change to be funnier, or we change what we were going to say to land in a more soft, cutesy way. We add a giggle at the end, or like, peter off at the end because we don't really want to just say what we actually originally said. And every time you do that, I really believe we're cutting our power in half. And now think about that. If you do that all day long, Samantha, right? And then you come home and we're tired from our day, and then we've got a parent. We have divided our power there because we were so worried about pissing them off. We divided our power in that conversation because we didn't want to step on toes. We're biting our tongue. And then we come home and there's nothing left to give because we lost ourselves along the way. And then, so who are we showing up as? I think is a big question. Who are we when we speak? Where do we go? Can we stay put? Yeah, we can.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a term I've heard you use that I just love. It resonates with me to my core. Sacred self-expression. It just resonates with me, and it's such a beautiful phrase. And I'm curious, what does that mean to you? How do you use that phrase?
I'm so glad you love that phrase and that it resonates with you. That means a lot to me. There's self-expression, and then I think there's sacred self-expression. So self-expression to me is where we're met with the world and the world is requesting something of us. It's making us use our voice. So it's kind of like a power over us. The spouse wants to sit down at the dining room table. It's time we start talking about the budget. Okay, right? That's the external power, and it's fine. In that moment, you're being asked to express yourself. Then there's this other mode of sacred self-expression, which doesn't get leveraged enough. And I don't think it's paid attention to as much. And that's where I teach, which is like, what is your inner voice trying to get you to say? What is the divine God source? Because I believe when we go into meditation or we're just out in nature and we have a second to just be with ourselves, that idea that pops up, that desire that just won't go away, is the voice of the divine. And what happens is it can get channeled through us when we use our voice in alignment with it. So when you use your voice in alignment with that sacred voice of God, voice of the divine, whatever that is for you, and you actually put it out there with your voice, that is the sacred self-expression, because it's moving from a power within instead of a power over you. And that's where we really feel women shift from the world's happening to me and I'm constantly reacting and I'm exhausted after I use my voice, to, oh, I'm happening to the world and I'm in control of what I'm saying and I'm no longer exhausted at the end of the day because I didn't lose my power along the way.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And the thing is when we are so distracted, we all have busy lives, absolutely. But when we're
Yes.
so distracted by being more of a passive participant in the world, we aren't able to hear that voice or feel it as
Right.
clearly. So I think it, for me personally, I went down a path where I really did want to kind of turn a little more inward to really be able to clear out the chatter. And by chatter, I mean those negative thoughts, those concerns, those worries, and whatever it might be, so that I could actually hear myself, because
Mm,
I felt like I didn't have anything to say because I couldn't hear myself to even
yeah.
collect my thoughts. So,
That's
and I
interesting. Yeah.
yeah. And a lot of the different women, especially mothers that I speak with, that tends to be pretty common. They've lost their voice along the way. They've lost their ability to check in with themselves. And we kind of talked about what some of those symptoms might be, right? Like watching our communication partner, adjusting who we are, so we show up how we think they want us to show up. But I'm curious, why do you think that happens for women? Why do they do that? Why do we do that?
There's a social psychologist who I love. His name is Kenneth Gergen. And a part of his work explores the relationship that we have with others and the voice. So he argues you don't really have a voice until you're using it around other people. In other words, it's just inner thoughts until it kind of comes out, but someone has to hear it. Someone has to be on the receiving end of that voice. So if we are used to, however, speaking differently in front of mom, speaking differently in front of our husband or wife, speaking differently in front of the boss, speaking differently in front of the kids, and then another entire voice for our community and our business or our friends, we fragment that voice. And what can happen is we get this sort of saturated, he talks about this saturated voice where we don't really have one voice any longer. And when you don't have a sense of your own voice, we lose a sense of self. There's even research too that shows that like people who don't hear their own name, this is fascinating. People who don't hear their own name, meaning no one's calling them, there's research that shows that they have an uptick in dementia. There's a correlation into dementia because we have a sense of self, we have a sense of purpose, and we have a sense of belonging when people are talking to us and we're talking back. So the social connection is important to actually know who you are. And at the same time, we have to be aware of fragmenting ourselves into this prism where we have all these different voices and never really truly speaking with the same sense of self. So the point there being, it's complex. It is hard to navigate your voice, I think, as adults. And when we're busy on top of that, it's easy to lose who you are, which can feel like a literal failure and an existential crisis. Who am I? Is literally because you're trying to be everything to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And also, you might not even be talking at all now because you lost your sense of self. So you're not even hearing your name. You're not expressing yourself. So the solution, right? What is the path forward? It's to actually start with small groups of friends that you trust, or getting inside of a women's group, getting inside of an empowerment group where you can start to unmute literally and start to hear your own voice back and have other women, have other mothers be like, that was such a good thought. The moment you have that kind of encouragement, you're like, damn, oh, okay, I guess I do have some good thoughts up here. And you start to hear yourself. That reforms and builds up our sense of self and what we're here to say.
Yeah. And taking that first step to step a little bit out of our comfort zone, right? To connect with the other women, because that in and of itself can be intimidating, but it's
Oh, yeah.
pushing yourself, knowing that you're joining a supportive group of women who want to see you succeed, who want to hear your thoughts,
That's
so
right.
that you can show up in those other areas where there might be conflict, whether it's meetings or something with your boss or whatever it might be, giving you the opportunity to practice, get those reps in, get that confidence with that group of supportive women. And you started to touch on the science part of it. And I know science and research is one of the things that you're known for. So I would love for you to share about how like the nervous system is impacted by all of this, whether it's the woman who is maybe a little more timid to show up or isn't showing up fully in her power versus the woman who is confident, who feels that knows that she deserves to be heard and to speak out.
This is a cool question, and there's several different ways we could answer this, but I think for the most part, the juiciest answer is one of those women is regulating before anyone's looking. And the other woman is trying to regulate in the moment when everyone is paying attention to her. And this differentiates how comfortable someone's going to feel when attention is on them. So let's say you've got a mom, she's advocating for her child at the parent teacher conference, something like that. Or there's, like, I don't know, pick up as the soccer, right? Like everyone's standing around and maybe there's something that needs to be said. The ability to say it with authority, say it calmly, say it not with up talk, like a question, but like actually declarative talk, and the ability to feel good while you're saying it. Like, this counts. I'm proud of myself. Actually, is based upon how much that woman is willing to work with herself behind closed doors or in those safer groups that we were talking about to practice the muscle memory to hear herself and to regulate her nervous system, to understand that being seen and heard isn't a threat. Because once you're in front of that person you need to confront, or once you are on stage, or once you're asking for that raise, whatever that high stakes moment is, if you're trying to feel calm there and then, it's too late. You can do things like state manage. So that's a scientific term for like have some good thoughts about the moment. So it sounds like this. I am so scared right now, right? That's a thought. But then you go, no, this is actually just my excitement, right? Like you try to trick yourself, which that can work. And you can lower your breathing rate and you can feel calm in that moment. But that deep feeling of regulation that we all want, like I feel confident, I know who I am, I can speak with ease, is a nervous system thing. It's a biology thing, which means we need to be going now, practicing in those scary moments, little by little, building that muscle memory, getting the reps in so that when those big scary moments actually come, you'll be very surprised and you'll be very pleasantly surprised. Damn, I actually did that. It was hard. Yes. I was shaking. Yes. Because the body is still going to be a body. Right. And we don't want to shame ourselves. That's the other part of this is let your body react. And we can talk more about that too. But it's the inner piece of I'm not going to abandon myself while that's all happening. And that takes practice behind closed doors, basically.
Yes. Well, and I love the distinction between kind of regulating yourself prior versus in the moment, because a lot of what I do is working with parents for like education advocacy. So a lot of times it's a meeting with all of these people with these big long titles that can be really intimidating. So we get a
Sure.
parent who may not feel really confident in their voice, but they know they need to show up. So they show up and do kind of one of two things. One, they either shut down, or two, Mama Bear comes out and it's really aggressive and really just overt. And we know the love and intention is in there, but she's not being heard either. So I'm
Mm.
curious if you have any thoughts for a woman who, again, it ties into maybe she isn't quite regulated in that moment. She's not feeling comfortable and safe with her voice in the moment. But for those moms who might not know how to handle, so then they go in ready for an attack.
Yeah, I love this because that's something that I talk about all the time in my world with the women that join my coaching, because there's tends to be one or the other. There's either the shutdown, or there's the person who's been brewing and they have nowhere to go. And so Mama Bear comes out and it's seen as aggressive and everyone gets shut down. The progress doesn't happen. And that's also, I think, where we lose a lot of respect too, because now the conversation got shut down with your intensity, but people really want to feel like they're a part of what you're saying. They want to feel like they're built like a good conversation. Everyone's building towards something together, which takes you being able to stay with your voice and stay and ride it. Ride it like a surfer rides a wave. So, in those moments, let's say tension is high, your blood is boiling for whatever reason. The number one thing that you can do is slow down the rate at which you speak and focusing on hitting and elongating those or what are they called? The syllables, the vowels. There we go. When you focus on elongating the vowels as well, we're putting more exhale on the vowel. So more air goes out of you, which is a long exhalation. So every time you're speaking and you're speaking slower and you're listening for the vowels and you're just letting the vowels come out a little slower, you're actually exhaling longer, which controls the sympathetic nervous system, helps us get out of that fight or flight. Does it work all the time perfectly? No. The other part is this. I think in the moment, if women can recognize that their anger or their big feelings is safe and not a liability, we can also deal with it. Like it's the I shouldn't be feeling this way. The blocking of it, what you resist persists. It's what makes you want to explode more. It makes what wants you to run away, even go like faster. So one of the rules of Vocal Honey, one of the pillars, is we never make our body wrong. And this is for that reason. We don't resist the body. We let it be a body. So if you're feeling the sweat, feel it. If you're feeling a shake, if you're feeling your temperature rise, if you're feeling your skin get red, what if that was safe? And then we invite ourselves right into the moment and safety, and knowing that you are allowed to feel big, passionate waves of energy is actually what's going to help you to become a very articulate speaker. Like, we need more women actually fired up, right? We need more people actually giving a damn about things. And maybe if we just learn to articulate the voice and speak a little slower while feeling our big waves of passion, the nervous system starts to learn that that's actually okay. That's when speaking becomes easy.
Yes. Well, and I think that is really important to highlight, because if you're talking to someone, whether it's a principal or the CSE chairperson, whoever it might be, who you deem maybe intimidating in that moment, and you're fixating like, oh no, I'm sweating. Oh no, my
Mm-hmm.
heart's racing. Then you're focusing on it, and like you said, what you resist persists. But then also, then it's like, okay, what else is going to happen? Like, I'm focusing on it. Oh gosh, am I going to pass out now? So then you're so out of the moment and so focused and resistant to what's happening to your body that you can't allow yourself to feel your body, to be in the moment, to focus on
Yeah.
those other strategies to really help yourself. So
Yeah. And another thing that I wanted to mention here was, a part of the nervous system work is, where are you spending your time focusing? Are you focused on, like, it's a day or two out from that meeting? Are you focused on how bad it's going to go? Because what we continuously focus on is what controls the wiring of the brain. It's what helps us to build a defense mechanism. But what if you could focus on what comes after? So this is where, when I have women who are going to be speaking up at work, or they know they're going to be asking for that divorce, or they're going to be getting on stage, whatever it is, because Vocal Honey is just about using your voice in the everyday stage of life. We focus a lot on what's the outcome?
mhm.
How do you want this to go? Like, it's the next day. You woke up after this. What do you want to feel? What do you want the other person to feel? What do you want them to feel as a result of hearing your voice? Because that's the power that we have. Where our voices are medicine, or it's a weapon. It's one or the other. I mean, it's going to be a weapon for you if you don't say it, right? So we can weaponize and harm ourselves by not speaking, or if we're not infusing it with love and awareness that there is going to be a next day. I'm going to have to deal with this after. Our words that come out can be a weapon, or we can choose to make it medicine. Medicine for us as it flows, a medicine for the person as they listen, and thinking about the next day and taking accountability for that is how we anchor into that medicine in that moment.
Yes. And this kind of piggybacks off of that, because a lot of women, not always by any means, but a lot of times they do tend to be the default parent or the kind of runner of the household, and they struggle to ask for what they want or what they need or to even speak openly and honestly. And what would you tell that woman?
That it's okay, first and foremost. It's okay to meet yourself in the struggle. If you knew that the struggle wasn't an issue, would that allow you to actually lean into it more? Because honestly, moments like that are tension. And another big phrase inside of my teaching is tension is teaching us where to go in order to grow. So, in other words, that very conversation that you're resisting is for you. There's something in that dialogue that you need to say. And when you say it, it's a threshold, baby. Like you're on to being the next version of yourself. And it creates the next chapter of life, whether it's a yes or a no or an ending or a beginning. Something is going to happen in that discussion, which is the reason we don't want to do it because we do subconsciously perceive the bigness of the things we're not saying, which is why we're not saying it. So, knowing that the tension is for you, knowing that the fear, the nervousness, the anticipation are all signs that you care. Like, and just reframing it like that. I care a lot about that person. I care a lot about the situation. I obviously am feeling a lot because it's me who's supposed to say something. Like now we're taking responsibility. Could it be that you're feeling this anxiousness because you care and you are actually like divinely charged, divinely assigned to say it? Once you start to feel like I'm divinely assigned to say these things, once you start to realize that this scary moment is for me and the tension is actually going to teach me how to grow, you become unstoppable. You start to really say things that you wouldn't before. And when you learn how to root it in love and medicine by slowing it down, that's the mechanism, Samantha. We slow it down just a little bit. We can stay in all of those quadrants. We can feel the tension. We can feel our sweat and our shakiness. We can feel the passion. And we can have that faith that, you know what? This is all good. I can say the hard thing.
Yes. And one thing that I notice kind of popping up again and again is honesty, being honest with
Mm.
yourself, being honest with what you're feeling, with what you're thinking. If you're thinking it and feeling it, there's a reason. But then
Yes.
also trusting yourself to do something with that. And kind of tied with that, another thought popped in my head is reframing, the importance of reframing, because a lot of times when we are stressed, we are overwhelmed, we have a lot of things that are happening to us that we might not always be able to control. We do have a tendency to err on the side of negative. So we lose a lot of power in that because we're focusing on the things that are happening to us. But reframing it is what I'm hearing you say again and again. And that's something that is really integral into what I do in the day to day to kind of reclaim that power, but also to give it a little bit of a positive spin. So, for example, I don't necessarily see mistakes as mistakes. And I know we hear this again and again, but it's like, okay, what can I take from this? What did I learn from it? How can I reframe
Mm.
this so that it is for
Mhm.
me and not to me? So, I
Love
think
that.
that is something that I unfortunately see a lot of women struggle with. And so
Mhm.
I know you have given some really great tips in terms of like slowing down, elongating those vowels, really feeling into your body and allowing your body to feel. Are there any other kind of practical tips that a woman could take away today that maybe is really struggling with this and doesn't fully know what to do?
One of the, I guess, the most fun practices that we can do is actually start to talk in the house more to ourselves. And like, this is like public speaking 101 is practice your sermon. You're walking around the house or in the shower and in the car. Like the vocal honey women are constantly walking around talking to themselves. We don't care because what's happening is we're practicing and we're hearing ourselves and feeling the intensity of the moment. And I don't think women realize that this is actually not a sign of insanity. Like everyone, smart, intelligent people, Albert Einstein was known for walking around talking to himself because thoughts are tough. And connecting a word with a thought is actually really a skill. It takes some work. Some things are just ineffable. They're tacit, right? They're hard to describe. And so if you got a woman who's on the edge of a lot of stress and she's already in the habit of not speaking or modifying her voice so she's liked, right? She doesn't want to rock the boat. I wouldn't say jump right into the most humiliating story. Don't jump right into the most intense thing. Start small. So here's a challenge, okay? Walking around the house, practice telling a story of something that happened yesterday. See if you can just get it out. And yeah, you're going to fumble and yeah, you're going to laugh at yourself and it's going to seem ridiculous, but it is actually practice. Just like a bodybuilder going to the gym, we all have to start with the 10-pound weight. Eventually, we can work our way up to the 30s or the 40s or whatever your goal is. Then once that starts to feel comfortable and you get a story down, try it out on a friend. You're going for a walk or you're on the phone. Just begin. Oh my gosh, I wanted to tell you, I got this crazy thing that happened to me the other day. It turns out by practicing storytelling, we relate to people and it makes us feel good. That boosts our confidence that we can actually relate to people. Once that safety is established, you're going to feel like more challenging topics are going to be easy because here's the methodology. Put your challenging thing, like the really hard thing you want to talk about, the money challenge, the divorce, the fact that we haven't gone on a family vacation in a while and you're fed up about it. Nestle it inside of a story like this. Hey, husband, remember how last time we went on a family vacation, we saw your Uncle Joe, and that was like so important for the kids. They bonded with him and he'll go, yeah. I remember that was such a great time. Oh my God. And then we went on the boat and we saw the 4th of July fireworks. And yeah, I remember that. See how you're painting the picture for your husband. Then you're going to say something like, I know that right now money's tight, but I really want us to try to find a way to do this. Should we work together and try to figure that out? Because like you just said, Uncle Joe was a huge role model for these kids. So it's like using storytelling as the softener, as the persuasive technique to talk about the harder thing. But you have to practice. You got to practice at home and practice with your friends. And then join Vocal Honey because we're practicing all the time inside of the community.
Yes. Well, and I love that idea of practicing with yourself first because there is something to do with that auditory feedback loop. So that's one of the key ways we learn language is by we say it, we hear it, our brain makes adjustments and tweaks it, and then we say it again. Even our speech sound development, that's how it happens is by our ability to be able to hear it and adjust it and make those little tweaks. So
there we go. So you know all about that. That's actually a thing.
It's actually a thing. And so it's a really cool thing.
Cool.
But yeah, so as we're getting ready to wrap up, I know you have a really awesome launch coming up and I'd love for you to share more about that, but also where people can find you.
Thank you so much. I'm all over Instagram, right? It's like my spirit animal. So you can find me at the Kimberly LaForte, and I'm sure you'll share out some links. YouTube channel is there and a podcast. So tons of free resources. I love teaching. You guys will find a lot of great content on those channels alone. If you decide that it's time to go deeper and you're done messing around and you're like, I want to own my voice. I want to embody my power. I'm feeling that gap between where I am and where I want to go and who I want to be. I want to close that gap and just start to speak like her. Then I am opening up very soon the main course that has everything I've been teaching for the past 4 or 5 years curated into what's called the method. So Vocal Honey, the method is either a course, you can get the digital course and just have lifetime access, and any updates I put in there, you'll just get it, right? You buy it once, you've got it forever, binge watch it. Or you can get the course plus live integration calls with me. I also have guest teachers. There's downloadable workbooks. There's quarterly training. So if you want that live support, because some people are like, leave me alone. I just want to buy the course. I'm a self learner, and more power to you. Go through it at your own pace. But some people want that integration time and be able to have questions and answers and see other people and read through the chat as it's happening live. That's what you're going to be able to do inside of the Method Embodied. So I dropped the link earlier with you. I know you'll drop that below, and doors open on the 1st.
So exciting. And as someone who has attended an event, I highly recommend doing everything this woman puts out because she
Thank
has such a
you.
wealth of knowledge. And you have a way of putting this information out that isn't intimidating and scary. You make it feel safe. So I just really
Thank
want to commend
you.
you on that. And yeah, everything will be linked right below in the show notes. And I, again, encourage everyone to check it out. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode of Parenthood Unscripted. If today's conversation resonated with you, please share it with another parent who might need it. You can follow along on Instagram at Parenthood Unscripted for updates, clips, and future guest announcements. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode, and I'll see you next time.